Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Sophie, this is Spin a Good Yarn, and we talk about knitting, spinning and sewing on this channel. So yeah, oh, my cat very nearly knocked us off. So yeah, welcome if you haven't been here before. I've had to take an impromptu break, which was not planned, so apologies. I've been, I think, off of YouTube for at least 2 months now. And that is because you may have noticed, but my husband and I are expecting our second baby, and we're into our second trimester now, which is lovely. It's amazing news. But unfortunately, I have suffered really badly with this pregnancy with hyperemesis gravidarum, which I had with my first baby, WIP, but not anywhere near as bad. It's been horrendous this time. And I won't go too much into it because I know for some people pregnancy is a hard topic, and experiences around pregnancy can also be hard for people to hear, and I totally understand that. But what I will say, just for the context of the knitting podcast, sorry, I have a very loving cat, is that I have been essentially bedbound for around about 4 weeks of the last 2 months, unable to sit up or watch anything, never mind knit. So that has been off the cards. I've also had, annoyingly, really annoyingly, a really strong aversion to the smell of wool, to lanolin. It's been one of my big nausea triggers, to the point where I couldn't look at wool, watch videos about wool, or even really think about knitting without that making me feel very poorly. Sorry. Have you stuck with your claw stuck? Yeah, so long story short, I haven't been able to knit for a while, and I have certainly not been able to be filming, nowhere near well enough to be filming, apart from probably this last week. So I started back to work on a phased return this week, which felt so lovely to be able to just get some normality back. And I really wanted to film today and share some WIPs, because I'm pretty sure the last video I did was my wheel of WIPs, where I was finishing lots of the stuff that I started over the summer and kind of making room for autumn cast-ons. I have to say my fall knitting plans, my autumn knitting plans, have changed completely because of me being poorly. To me, we're basically running into winter now, and I've just had to knit what I can. So the first thing that I have started on is this pair of socks. So this is a sort of modified Ruffle sock by Petite Knit. So the top is from the Ruffle sock by Petite Knit, which, to be fair, is the most complicated part of the pattern. And then I've just edited it a little bit closer so that you might be able to see. So I've just edited it into a 3x1 rib, which continues just down the leg and the foot. And I'm not sure whether it's the yarn or whether it is me, but I'm knitting with Bird Street Yarn's sock base in the colour Latte, which I really like as a colour. I think it's kind of a good, like, bony white colour. But my tension looks horrendous on this sock. Now, I will block it, this is unblocked. And it could be that I've been really poorly. So this I've knitted over the last week, because this was something that felt achievable. Once I got past the ruffle, that was more intense. I could knit on this with very little effort, and so that's been a really nice project to have. Normally I could easily knit a pair of socks in a week, but it's been at least a week on that one. So I've then just literally last night, when we were finishing off Celebrity Traitors, I've dropped more stitches. I keep doing this with these socks. Got another 2 here. I think the yarn is quite slippery. I think when I pull it out of the project bag, I keep chucking my stitches off, which isn't good because we're not yet at the point where we have loads of stitches to feel super secure with. Hopefully that's okay. I don't think I've lost another. But yes, I've just started the second one, and I'm just starting on the ruffle. But the second one, I might do some more of that later tonight, I think. Then I have one garment WIP, which you guys haven't seen before either, which is this one. It might be a little bit hard to show you. I've lost stitches again, this is not going well. There we go. Check I've got them all back on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Brilliant, I have. Right, so this one, sorry, spam caller. This one is the cardigan by Zeta, and this one I'm knitting in my Handspun yarn. That's a bit what you can see of the colour there. So This is BFL. It's a natural BFL grey with a little bit of BFL that's just got a hint of purple in it. You can probably see it best in the skein. So I'll show you the skein I haven't yet wound up. So that's the variegation that you can see. In there is that natural grey toned, and I just added in some purple throughout. And I've started knitting this one, well, really since the weekend. I've knitted quite fast on this because I think, having not knitted for 2 months, I've just really missed it. So when I've been well enough, it's something I've been prioritising. So that's the start of my season's cardigan. And in terms of construction, this one is, if I'm honest, not my favourite. So you start, as a number of Azetta patterns do, with the sort of back neck, and you knit along a sort of a rectangle, and then you pick up stitches on the other end and knit the same length on the other side. And then you're working back and forth along the back, essentially, adding stitches in like a raglan style. That's kind of fine, that's not really the problem. The thing that's frustrating is, for this particular cardigan, the button band is knitted at the same time as the body, but with different size needles. So it means you end up with 2 DPNs on the end for your button bands, and then you've got your 2 main needles plus a DPN. So you are working with 5 needles at once, which is just a little bit more fiddly perhaps than I would have liked it to be. I think if I was going to knit this pattern again, I would just attach the button band afterwards, I think, and work that separately, because it has been a real faff with all these DPNs. And as you saw, I'm also losing stitches on this a lot, because I think it's just challenging trying to manage where things are. And I did actually accidentally pull my circular needle out of some of the stitches thinking it was a DPN as I was knitting, and nearly had to frog the whole thing. So I think luckily, because it's half fisherman's rib rather than full like brioche, I was able to count on those knits on the wrong side to be able to actually find my place again and work it out and collect all my stitches back on, because I had to pull all my stitches off the needles because of how I'd lost them, which is very frustrating. And if you knitted fisherman's rib before, you know that if you pull that on your kind of brioche side, you can't really easily pick up without needing a crochet hook to like re-pick them up. So just a bit fiddly, but I think it's coming out really nicely. So yeah, as I mentioned, that's with some Handspun, and then I'm just pairing it with the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in Morning Haze, and that's mostly just to even out the inconsistencies of my spin. And it does give it a nice halo too, but really that was what I wanted to do, was just have the fuzz obscure a little bit the inconsistencies, because it's an okay spin, but it's not very good yet. I'm only a baby spinner, I've only been spinning for 6 months. But I really wanted to start on my setter spin that I did in Tour de Fleece. And then the last project is down here on the floor. And this one, I'm determined not to lose any stitches on this, like every other project. This one is the very start of my Berlin scarf. So I'm knitting it in the suggested yarn, which I think is called Borska Alpaca by Sanders Garn. And I'm also knitting it in beige because the sample photo just really appealed, and I think from my kind of colour analysis that I've done online, like myself, I think I'm a soft summer. So I think this tone will go quite nicely with my colouring. So I picked this one up because I hopefully am going to D&D for the first time, again since I've been poorly. And for D&D you really just want something completely mindless. Like I use D&D knitting time as just like pretty much stockinette in the round is the best, and that's exactly how this is knitted. It's knitted in a tube, so you are literally just knitting. So I cast this one on this morning to kind of get a bit of a headway on it and get used to the pattern and the needles and stuff before tomorrow, but it is literally just a stockinette tube, so I probably could have, to be fair, it's a provisional cast on, so I am glad I started it here. But I'm really happy with how this one's working out, and I partly got this one because I've loved the Berlin scarf, like since I re-picked up knitting like more intensely in the summer of 2024. It was one of the patterns that I was like, I really want to knit that one. But I didn't get around to it last winter. Also because I've been doing an awful lot of fingering weight knitting because I did all my summer knitting. And I've done quite a lot of sock knitting, and then I've transitioned straight into, like from summer into winter. So I'm obviously knitting fingering weight socks. This is sport weight, thereabouts, my Handspun, so it's that added with the mohair's not too bad. But I had been knitting a lot of stuff that was at a sort of low weight of yarn, and this is a bulky weight yarn and it uses enormous size 7 needles, so it's just flying off, and I needed something like that, I think, as a quick win. The other thing that I'm going to show you is something that was a WIP until last night, and then I undid it, just frogged it all back out. But I'm going to use this yarn here, which I think is so lovely. Hopefully you can see it okay. Which is a yarn from Cold Harbour Mill, which is a working mill. It's a site where you can visit it and as a museum, but they also do still make yarn there. And this is in the colour Crocus. And I am 80%, 85% sure when I bought this, it said it was DK. And on the website, it looks as though it's advertised as DK, but to me, I think it's more like a fingering weight. I originally started knitting a hat at a DK pattern and said, like, trust the yarn, maybe it will bloom a bit more when I wash it. And it just didn't at all, it just didn't work. It wasn't coming out as I wanted it to. So then I sort of thought, okay, I'll use my wraps per inch spinner's control card and I'll see where it's at. And it was coming out as a very, very light sport. So I think it still might bloom a little bit with washing, but I then cast on a sport weight hat and I was like, I don't want to knit a hat at that low of a gauge at the moment because of the fact I think summer knitting and then straight into like small gauge knitting, I just wasn't feeling it. So I ripped that out last night and ordered another Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. I can't remember which shade of the purple it was. I think it might have been Dusty Artichoke. I'll have to see when it arrives, but to hold with that so that I can knit it together for a weekend hat. And if it does bloom, it'll just be a denser weekend hat, and I think that'd be fine because that feels a bit more practical. And yeah, it's just partly because, as I say, I've knitted at such a small gauge so often recently, or what feels like so often. And also, I actually don't have a winter hat this year. My hat last year was for the last fair few years, was a commercially made acrylic hat. And whilst I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with whatever clothing you want to use, it just didn't hold up very well. It was kind of fake fluffy, if you know what I mean. Almost like you would have of like a mohair and alpaca, but because it was all synthetics, it just pilled like nothing else. And I loved that hat, it was a really lovely hat, but I just couldn't really wear it anymore. It didn't really feel wearable. So my husband will have it because he always does that. If there's any knitwear that I think is too pilled, he will have it. So he has that hat now as his like getting out in the rain, doesn't matter what happens to a hat. And I need to knit myself on because I don't have a winter hat. So yeah, that one will be on my list fairly soon. And I just thought it was nice to have the chance to kind of chat with you and share a bit about what I'm working on at the moment, and just kind of a gentle introduction. I think that this I'll film as a whole video to upload to kind of do a little bit of a where am I. I do need to do a haul at some point and go through my finished objects, but if I'm honest, it's too much to do all in one go right now. So you might just see those as they come through. And then I think I'm going to film like consecutively a knitting vlog with me knitting up probably my Berlin scarf. This is like a quick project vlog, and maybe some other WIPs worked in here and there, but I think that would be more achievable from where I'm at the minute. But I really wanted to chat to you and to say hello again and to let you know my news and that I've not vanished, and I do really intend on continuing to upload. I just have been really poorly. So yeah, I hope that you're all well and that it's nice to sort of see me again or see me for the first time. And if you like this video and you're not yet subscribed, do consider it, or pop a like on if you're not sure yet, and YouTube will probably pop me back up in your algorithm at some point to have another look. So yeah, it's been lovely to chat to you guys today, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.